Warren Buffett invests in gold mining. Let's have a look. Hello everyone, Florian.heise here and welcome to another episode of HeiseSays. Grab your stein of coffee because I think you're all going to need it, particularly the gold bugs out there. Because Warren Buffett, notorious gold bear, has now invested in, well, a very large gold mining company. Well, actually, up until recently, one of the largest ones in the world. Now, before we go through this article, it's discussing, did Buffett just bet against the US? Berkshire buys Barrick Gold and dumps Goldman Sachs. So before we go through this, let's jump over and have a little bit of a look at Barrick. Let's have a little bit of a look at them because, I haven't heard about them. Just shows you, how colloquial I am here in Australia. But you can see here, let's click on About. Let's see what they see themselves as. Our vision is to be the world's most valued gold mining business by finding, developing, and operating the best assets with the best people to deliver the best returns on a sustainable basis to our owners and partners. We are committed to partnering with our host countries and communities to transform their natural resources into tangible benefits and mutual prosperity. Barrick Gold and copper mining operations and projects in 13 countries in North and South America, Africa, Papua New Guinea, and Saudi Arabia. Our diversified portfolio spans many of the world's prolific gold districts and is focused on high-margin, long-life assets. The company's shares trade on the New York Stock Exchange under the symbol GOLD. How much is that worth? And on the Toronto Stock Exchange under the symbol ABX. Yeah, gold sounds a lot better, doesn't it? It really does. And if we click here, we can see just a recent announcement from a few days ago. They've declared a dividend, which, compared to the reporting season we've been hearing here in Australia, so many businesses haven't been declaring dividends. And if you follow Peter Schiff as well, he's really been talking up or looking at investing in some of the gold mining businesses. And while some of the junior miners took a hit with the recent fall in gold, well, if it hits the projected levels that some people are considering, or the fact that we've got rampant money printing going all around the world and it drives up gold, these might be a good investment. So Barrick Gold Corporation today announced that its board of directors has declared a dividend for the second quarter of 2020 of US 8 cents per share, a 14% increase on the previous quarter's dividend, payable on September the 15th, 2020 to shareholders of record at the close of business on the 31st of August. Senior Executive Vice President and Chief Financial Officer Graham Shuttleworth said that Barrick's quarterly dividend has more than doubled since the announcement of the Barrick-Randgold merger in September 2018, reflecting Barrick's continued strong financial performance. The board believes that the dividend increase is sustainable and is reflective of the ongoing robust performance of our operations and continued improvement in the strength of our balance sheet, with total liquidity of $6.7 billion, including a cash balance of $3.7 billion as at the end of the second quarter and no material debt repayments due before 2033, said Shuttleworth. So, sounds good. So let's have a look here. I brought up their wiki so we can just see some of the locations that they've got operations in. Argentina, Canada, Ivory Coast, Dominican Republic, Mali, the Democratic Republic of Congo, Papua New Guinea, Tanzania, several, and the United States. They've got copper operations in Chile, Saudi Arabia, Zambia. They had previous ones, including the Kalgoorlie Super Pit in Australia here, and I thought would bring up a picture just to show, to give people an appreciation of the scale of these type of operations. If you've been out to a remote mine, the only open cut ones I've seen are the huge coal mines. They're really impressive. They're really, really impressive. Now, what's been happening with the share price? We can see here, this grey line, if you're not aware, is the aftermarket trading. And it closed at $26.99 on the 14th of August, and now it's gone up to $29.18. So it's climbed a hefty amount. What has it gotten? $2? $2.20? $2.19 in aftermarket trading. What does that tell you? If we jump back to 6 months, let's see how they're doing. So they, February they didn't really take, where are they? They've just been going up since the beginning of this year. We'll go out to a year. There you go. They've just been going up. They took a bit of a hit with gold going down. 5 years. They went up in 2016, down a little bit. It's just steadily climbing up. And max data, there you go. There you go. Look at that. At $43. They peaked there. The 52-week high is at $30.69. The 52-week low is at $12.65 with a dividend yield of only 0.59. So can it be a good dividend payer? So, if Warren Buffett has made a move into this company, what does that tell you? Some people will just follow him, not even considering, will just, match his movements. So let's have a look at this article from Zero Head, and before I get into it, I'm going to need a shot of my coffee. It's good coffee. So, this is going to get awkward. These articles from Zero Hedge are always entertaining. Berkshire Hathaway's latest 13F just dropped, and contained inside is a signal that none other than the Oracle of Omaha appears to now be quietly betting against the United States. Why? Because for years, in fact, for as long as we can remember, Warren Buffett has denigrated gold. In a speech delivered at Harvard in 1998, Buffett said, I'll scroll down here, gold gets dug out of the ground in Africa or someplace, well, considering Australia is one of the biggest exporters of gold, Then we melt it down, dig another hole, bury it again, and pay people to stand around guarding it. It has no utility. Anyone watching from Mars would be scratching their heads. I guess from his perspective, sure, it does have industrial applications, but compared to other things, he's right. It just it does just sit there, isn't it? People use it as a currency. He once famously said, gold is a way of going long on fear. And it has been a pretty good way of going long on fear from time to time. But you really have to hope people become more afraid in a year or 2 years than they are now. And if they become more afraid, you make money. If they become less afraid, you lose money. But the gold itself does not produce anything. And, that is quite a sensible take. What do you think, guys? Do you think he's going long on fear now? Are you going long on fear? Do you think times are going to get tough? You've got people talking up the property market here in Australia. You've got people talking up the recovery of the economy. Yet we've got all these interventions into the economy propping it up. You've got JobKeeper, you've got JobSeeker, you've got mortgage holidays, you've got trading while insolvent allowances. What happens when all of that disappears? Do you think the economy's magically going to kick back in? Or we'll suddenly have a whole heap of insolvencies and people losing their jobs? Then do you think fear will go up? In his 2011 letter, Buffett noted that for $9.6 trillion, you could buy Pile A, all of the gold in the world, or Pile B, the entire US cropland, 400 million acres, plus 16 Exxon Mobils, and still have another $1 trillion left over. Admittedly, when people a century from now are fearful, it's likely many will still rush to gold, he wrote. I'm confident, however, that the $9.6 trillion current valuation of Pile A will compound over the century at a rate far inferior to that achieved by Pile B. In 2013, Buffett even went so far as to mock investors betting on gold, saying that there were better places to put your money. What motivates most gold purchasers is their belief that the ranks of the fearful will grow, Buffett wrote in 2012. During the past decade, that belief has been correct. Beyond that, the rising price has on its own generated additional buying enthusiasm, attracting purchasers who see the rise as validating an investment thesis. As bandwagon investors join any party, they create their own truth for a while. And, we can see that play out in other investment strategies. Is that what is happening here in gold? Or do we have some fundamental issues? We've got negative interest rates all over the world, guys. That's not natural. In Berkshire's 2018 annual meeting, Buffett compared $10,000 invested in stock and gold in 42, the first year he invested in stocks. For every dollar you could have made in American business, you'd have less than a penny of gain by buying into a store of value which people tell you to run to every time you get scared by the headlines. And in his 2019 letter, he reiterated, the magic metal was no match for American metal. All of which makes the following even more stunning. According to the latest 13F, Howard Buffett's Berkshire Hathaway not only dumped all his airlines, shouldn't it be Warren, or is it Howard his full name? I'll look up. I'll look it up. Yeah. Not only dumped all his airlines, which we've heard about, as we learned previously, but also liquidated huge amounts of exposure to US banks, exiting Goldman Sachs entirely. So Berkshire's JP Morgan stayed down 62% to 22.2 million shares. Berkshire's Wells Fargo stake down 26% to 238 million shares. Berkshire trimmed its bet on PNC Financial, M&T Bank, as well as Bank of New York, Mellon Corp, MasterCard, and Visa. Berkshire exited Goldman's stake entirely. And while he modestly added to his position in Kruger, StoreCap, Suncor Energy, the only new stock he bought in quarter two was the world's formerly biggest gold miner. Berkshire took a new 20.9 million shares, a new stake of 20.9 million shares in Barrick Gold, a holding that was valued at about $564 million at the end of that period. So over $500 million worth he's invested into this gold mining and exploration company. What does that tell you, everyone? You can see here where he's gone down, where he's gone up. I mean, look at that. Look at how much he's gone in there. So Barrick Gold is up around 6% after hours. Of course, we do note that this 13F filing reflects the stock picks of Buffett as well as his longtime deputies, Todd Combs and Ted Wilshire. So it's unclear who exactly put the money to work in Barrick. Doesn't matter. So the famously anti-gold investor has abandoned banks, the backbone of America's credit-driven economy, in favor of a gold miner, which was the largest in the world until when Newmont bought Goldcorp. Is Buffett betting against America with a levered position in precious metals? So, what is most ironic about all of this is that Warren's father, Howard Buffett, is among the great gold bugs of all time. As we noted in 2010, a must-read essay by Howard Buffett, father of the legendary investor, who initially was so much against derivatives then, promptly changed his tune, discusses fiat money and gold, and concludes that human freedom rests on gold-redeemable money. Now, it sounds like a very interesting essay, and I'll have to make the time to go through it, everyone. In this stunningly simple, straightforward, and flawless analysis, Buffett's father stresses the relation between money and freedom, and contends that without a redeemable currency, an individual's freedom and one's access to property is dependent on goodwill of politicians. I'm going to repeat that again. Without a redeemable currency, an individual's freedom and one's access to property is dependent on the goodwill of politicians. That makes me really want to read that. I'll probably do it in a video for tomorrow, everyone. I think it's quite true, isn't it? Think about it. I'll have a shot of coffee. Do you agree with that statement, guys? Let us know in the comments. Buffett also says that paper money systems generally collapse and result in economic chaos. Maybe that's what we're starting to see. He goes on to observe that a gold standard would restrict government spending and give people greater power over the public purse. Lastly, back in 48, Howard Buffett said, the present is the right time to restore the gold standard. Alas, 60 years later, his advice has still been largely ignored, and as a result, we have a global economy that stands on the precipice of global default with runaway budget deficits across the entire developed world. Key quotes. Is there a connection between human freedom and a gold-redeemable money? At first glance, it would seem that money belongs to the world of economics and human freedom to the political sphere. But when you recall that one of the first moves by Lenin, Mussolini, and Hitler was to outlaw individual ownership of gold, you begin to sense that there may be some connection between money, redeemable in gold, and the rare prize known as human liberty. Also, when you find that Lenin declared and demonstrated that a sure way to overturn the existing social order and bring about communism was by printing press paper money, then again you are impressed with the possibility of a relationship between a gold-backed money and human freedom. Sadly, I think it's so far removed now that most people won't even consider it. Or some people intrinsically think we actually have a gold-backed money. I was talking to a neighbor and he just thought that here in Australia. His conclusion is eerily prophetic with what is happening with US society currently. I warn you that politicians of both parties will oppose the restoration of gold, although they may outwardly seemingly favor it. Unless you are willing to surrender your children and your country to galloping inflation, war, and slavery, then this cause demands your support. For if human liberty is to survive in America, we must win the battle to restore honest money. And of course, he notes that the Federal Reserve is at the forefront of those who will do everything in their power to prevent a return of the gold standard. Most opponents of free coinage of gold admit that the restoration is essential, but claim the time is not propitious. Some argue that there would be a scramble for gold and our enormous gold reserves would soon be exhausted. Actually, this argument simply points up the case. If there is so little confidence in our currency that restoration of gold coin would cause our gold stocks to disappear, then we must act promptly. The dangers were recently highlighted by Mr. Alan Spruill, president of the Federal Reserve Bank of New York, who said, "Without our support, the Federal Reserve System under present conditions, almost any sale of government bonds undertaken for whatever purpose, laudable or otherwise, would be likely to find an almost bottomless market on the first day support was withdrawn. Our finances will never be brought into order unless Congress is compelled to do so. Making our money redeemable in gold will create this compulsion." The full essay is below, which we are confident was never read by Howard's oracular son until perhaps very recently. So did it really take him until he was 90 years old to realize that his dad was right after all? So what happens next? Do Munger and Buffett buy Bitcoin? What do you think? So there we have it, everyone. There we have it, and we'll jump here. I mean, there you go. We will go to first day trading. You can see here again, I'll refresh this to see if it updates. Still up there, 29.18 in aftermarket trading. Where do you think it's headed? Do you think it'll drop? Or do you think there'll be a gap in the market? Is this a sign to get into gold? Let me know your thoughts and opinions in the comments below. Please like, share, and subscribe to the channel. If you're a fan and want to support the content I create here, there are a few ways you can. Simply interacting with the channel helps. It's a great way to support the channel and lets the algorithm know that you're enjoying the content. If you want to support the channel financially, there are a few ways you can. You can join the channel on YouTube or Patreon. You can use our affiliate links at Amazon, eBay, Independent Reserve, or Kucoin. You can use Gold Pass from the Perth Mint. Support us via PayPal. Or, there was another one, buy our merch. Take care, everyone. Have a great day. I will see you all in the next episode. Bye for now.